Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to do the analysis of KPR Mill. This is one of the biggest textile companies in India which is vertically integrated right from the yarn manufacturing till the garment manufacturing. And recently they have also launched their own brand of innerwear and athleisure. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon, and you can join our Telegram channel as well. Let's get started. So KPR Mill is one of the largest textile companies in India which is vertically integrated, and they manufacture yarn, fabrics, garments, and they have also diversified into sugar, ethanol, and they have a few dealerships of automobiles also. This group is into business for more than 40 years and they have well established systems and technologies in place. Their main products are ready-made knitted apparel, fabrics, polyester, combed yarn, and the others. This company exports to various countries across the globe, and they have latest technologies in manufacturing as the quality requirements keep changing from year to year, so they have to upgrade their technologies accordingly. They have 12 manufacturing units, and this is one of the top 500 listed companies in India. Now let's talk about the management of the company. The chairman is Mr. KP Ramasamy. In short, his name is KPR. He is the founder chairman, and he started with very humble beginnings, starting as a powerloom cloth manufacturer, and now he has established a very good name in the industry. This group is into various businesses like textile, sugar, automobiles, power, even education sector, and he is one of the top 100 CEOs of India. The managing directors of the company are Mr. KPD Singamani and P. Natraj. So Mr. KPR along with his family manages the KPR group businesses. Now, what are the key milestones in the journey of this company? In 1984, they started their business in Coimbatore. In 1989, they started their knitted garments exports from Tirupur. In 1995, they started their first spinning unit in Satyamangalam. In 2001, they started a spinning mill at Karamuthampatti and a knitting facility, as well as they entered into renewable energy by establishing windmills. In 2003, they started another spinning unit at Neelambur, garment units as well as windmills at Arasur knitting facility. In 2006, they brought in PE investors who were Brand Dot Investments and two others. In 2007, they got their company listed on the stock exchanges. From 2010 to 12, they were continuous Capex expansions by the company, and in 2013 they ventured into the sugar business by establishing a plant at Karnataka. From 2014 to 19, again there were capacity expansions by the company, and there were also technology upgradations in terms of their production capacities. In 2019 they started an ethanol plant in Karnataka, and they also started their own private brand called Faso, which was a 100% organic cotton menswear brand which manufactures innerwear and athleisure wear. In 2019, they established a wholly owned subsidiary in Singapore, and from 2020 onwards, again their capex expansions continue. Now let's talk about the business of this company. They manufacture various products, and the first one is yarn. In yarn, they have 1 lakh metric tons of manufacturing capacity, and their yarn compared to the other companies is superior in quality, and they supply to various international brands. A lot of brands which we wear in our daily life, unknowingly they procure yarn from KPR Mill. In terms of products, they supply compact yarn, combed yarn, carded yarn. So like this, there are varieties of yarns which this company manufactures. The next product which the company manufactures is fabric. In fabric, they manufacture various kinds of fabrics like jerseys, interlock, rib, 2 and 3 thread fleece, 2 and 3 thread fleece. So like this, there are variety of fabrics which we may not be required to get into details. They have a fabric manufacturing capacity of 40,000 metric tons per annum. And in terms of finish, they manufacture various fabrics which are mercerized, hammering finish, and various other finishes. Now coming to the garments, which is the next product in the value chain. The first was yarn, the next was fabric, and the third one in the value chain is the garments. So in garments, they manufacture for men, women as well as children. Various fabrics which they use for manufacturing of garments are 100% conventional cotton, organic cotton, cotton blends, and fair trade cotton. In terms of the categories of wear, they manufacture casual wear, sportswear, active wear, sleepwear, as well as workwear. But mainly they are into casual wear and not in formal wear. They have a capacity of 115 million garments per annum, which is a huge capacity in India. The next business they are into is sugar and power. In sugar, they manufacture white crystal sugar, which has a capacity of 40 MW. Ethanol has a capacity of 130 KLPD. and all these manufacturing units are approved as per international standards. And in power generation, they generate green power through windmills, and whatever power the company requires, most of them is green power, which is self-generated, used for captive consumption. They have 66 windmills generating about 61.92 megawatts of power every year. A couple of years before, the company started their own brand to focus on their retail business as well as into the branding segment. They started a brand called Faso. In Faso, the specialty of this brand is it is 100% made of organic cotton. Under this brand, the company is manufacturing men's innerwear as well as athleisure wear. The advantage for KPR Mill is completely everything is done in-house, right from yarn manufacturing till the final product, which is the innerwear. Everything is manufactured by this own company. So there is vertical integration and a lot of advantage for this company. There's nothing which they have to procure from outside. So they can deliver excellent quality and they can maintain consistency in quality. Under the same brand, recently under the COVID situations, they also started face masks, and this brand they sell online as well as offline, and in offline they have more than 2000 retailers who are selling this brand. And now from the South India, they are slowly venturing into the other states to expand their brand presence. Now let's talk about the industry in which this company operates. What are the broad trends in this textile industry as of now? Globally, the cotton prices have gone up, and the total area under which the entire world manufactures or grows cotton has expanded. So the supply is also more as well as the demand is more, and globally cotton prices have risen. So due to this advantage, India is able to sell much more to the other countries. India has been the largest producer of cotton in the world, and the yarn prices also gradually are going up as the raw material prices increase are slowly passed on to the other value chain products like yarn as well as garments. There have also been supply disruptions which are leading to increase in the prices, and as of now the industry is experiencing good tailwinds and the industry is expected to grow in double digits for the next couple of years. The government is also taking various initiatives to support this industry. Recently you might have heard that the government is setting up 7 textile parks to support this industry in terms of various subsidies. In COVID, people have not moved out much and the demand has shifted more from formal wear to casual wear, and KPR Mill is mainly into casual wear. India on a global scale is the largest manufacturer of cotton, and we have about 41% of the global share in cotton cultivation. Due to e-commerce, the textile demand has further increased. As you can see, during the sales on Flipkart and Amazon and the other websites, they have done record numbers in garments also. And India is one of the largest exporters of cotton and the other garments, and the government is also fully supporting the exporters from India under the textile segment. Who are the competitors of this company? Now that as the company has ventured into branded men's innerwear, companies like Page Industries, Rupa, Lux have also become their competitors. Other than that, companies like Keval Kiran Clothing, Gokuldas Exports, Trident, Nitin Spinners, Arvind Limited, Vardhaman Textiles are the competitors of this company. So although this company has good vertical integration and great product advantage, but still there is stiff competition from others in the country. What are the competitive strengths of this company? Vertical integration remains their most important competitive strength, and the company's focus is on technology, and every couple of years they keep upgrading the technology of their manufacturing, which improves the quality and maintains up to the standards which the customers require. They have a design studio to focus on the latest designs, and the focus is to maintain the best in quality and also provide value for money products to their customers. Their 4 decades of experience also is their competitive advantage, and their strategic location at Tirupur, which is a hub for manufacturing of textile garments, is also their advantage. The company gives quality assurance from the yarn till the final product, which gives confidence to the customers. And since the company is a global company, it has advantage over the companies which are operating only in a single region. Over so many years, the company has developed good relations with their long-term customers, and they have self-sufficient green power manufactured for their own captive consumption. What are the growth prospects of this company? They are trying to automate all the processes and establish latest technologies so that their operating efficiencies improve and the quality of the products is also upgraded. They are incurring capex in all their businesses, whether it is yarn, textile, garment manufacturing or sugar manufacturing, and they are increasing their capacities almost every year, and they are growing in terms of volume also. They are now focusing on their retail business, and they have started with launching the brand which is Foso, as we have discussed. So this is how the company is growing across the globe and expanding their various capacities. What are the risks which this company might face? As of now, almost every industry is facing logistical issues post-COVID. The raw material availability could be an issue, as well as the price fluctuation which impacts the margins of the business. The company has presence in Ethiopia, and there are certain political riots which have happened in those countries, due to which the manufacturing unit has shut down. So this kind of situations also pose risk to the company. If there is a slag in the market demand, that could be a risk for this company. There is a lot of competition from companies in India as well as global companies which operate in other countries like United States, China, Bangladesh and Pakistan, which are also cotton and garment producing countries of the world. If they don't upgrade their technologies, the quality of the products of the company will go down, which is a risk. Political environment is a risk, and since the company is into export, there is always forex risk. Now, after discussing the business analysis, let's come to the financial analysis. Starting with the quarterly numbers, revenue was about 1211 crores in Q2 FY22 compared to last year, which was 942 crores, which is up by 29%. EBITDA was about 352 crores compared to 189 crores last year, up by 86%, and profit has risen from 113 crores to 242 crores, which is almost double. Although the base numbers are not that good due to the second wave of COVID last year. EBITDA margins have improved from 20% to 29%, and profit after tax margins have improved from 12% to 20%. But these margins may not be sustainable over a long period of time, and the normalized margins have to be taken into account looking at the numbers in the succeeding quarters. But this quarter has been their best ever quarter until now. Now let's look at the yearly financials in the last 5 years. The revenue has grown at about nearly 6% average in the last 5 years, and they have clocked a revenue of 3,530 crores in FY21, and they are expected to do much better and grow in double digits in FY22. EBITDA has grown at somewhere around 10% in the last 5 years, and they have clocked an EBITDA of 830 crores in FY21. Profit after tax has grown at about 16%, which is a double digit growth, and they have clocked a profit of about 515 crores in FY21, and this is also going to be much better in FY22. EBITDA margins have improved from about 18 to 20%, which they were doing earlier, to about 24% now in FY21. Profit after tax margin has also improved from about 9 to 10%, which they were doing earlier, to about 14% now. Share capital has gone down from 37 crores in FY17 to about 34 crores in FY21 because the company has done buyback, which is good for the existing shareholders. Reserves are steadily growing, and they have a reserve about 2316 crores in FY21. Borrowings are under control. They have a debt equity ratio of just 0.3, and they have about 657 crores of loans on the balance sheet as on FY21 March 31st. The company has been doing regular capex, and they have a fixed asset base of about 1250 crores in FY21. Inventories are under control. There's no abnormal rise in the inventories, and they have about 900 crores of stock in the FY21 balance sheet. Trade receivables have gone down to 321 crores in FY21, which is also a positive sign. Cash equivalents have been steadily maintained to about 77 crores in FY21. So in terms of liquidity and working capital cycle, the company's balance sheet looks fine. Operating cash flows have been positive all throughout, and they have about 659 crores cash flows in operating cash flows in FY21. Free cash flows have been negative only in FY19, that too because of the capex done by the company. Otherwise, free cash flows have been positive all throughout in the last 5 years, and they have done about 374 crores of free cash flow in FY21. Debtor days is just about 33 in FY21. Inventory days are also normal at about 170, but compared to the other companies, inventory days are slightly higher, and their inventory turnover ratio also, as we see in the coming slides, is a little less. So there is still scope that the company can move their stock faster and get their payments sooner, so that their working capital efficiency is improved. ROCE is at a decent level of about 19 to 22% in the last 4 years, and it has risen to about 25% in FY21. Their dividend yield is 0.17, so it's a dividend paying company. ROE is about 24%. Inventory turnover ratio, as you see, is about 3.87. This can be improved. The remuneration to chairman and the managing directors is about 17 crores, which is well within the limits, and the auditors of the company are BSR and Company LLP. Now let's talk about the shareholding pattern. As on September 30, 2021, the promoters hold about 74.7% stake in the company. So they have a very good skin in the game, which is a positive for this company. FII is hold about 3.1%, DI is about 13.4%, and public holds about 8.8%. There is no pledge of shares by the promoters. Now let's talk about the valuations of the stock. The last trade price was somewhere around 533, and it's almost trading at its 52-week high. 52-week high and low is about 150 to 548, and the stock has given very good returns for its shareholders on an average of 5 years, about 38%, 3 years 66%, in the last 1 year more than 220% return, which is a very good return for the shareholders. After this rally, now the market cap of the company is about 18,000 crores. Face value is 1, not 10, and EPS is about 22 rupees. So PE comes to about 24. Industry PE is somewhere around 20 as of now, because the entire industry stocks have moved quite fast and they are trading well high near their 52-week highs. Median P in the last 5 years is about 16. Book value is 80 rupees, so PB ratio comes to about 6.65. So in terms of book value also, the stock is expensive in terms of valuation. The market cap to sales is about 4.4 times. For this industry, this is considered higher. So in terms of valuation, the stock is trading at higher valuations right now. Now let's look at the chart. There could be a decent support somewhere around 400, which is the 100 DMA. And at 100 DMA, the PE comes to about 18. So that could be a decent level for somebody who wants to get into the stock and who is satisfied with the fundamentals and growth prospects of this company. Let me take a couple of questions which are asked by our friends who are there on Telegram. Mr. Arvind from Guntur has asked, what are the future prospects of the textile industry? So as of now, the textile industry's future prospects look very bright. For the next couple of years, there's a lot of government support. There is good demand in the industry, as well as the industry is experiencing an advantage over the other suppliers which are in China, as the global customers are looking for additional suppliers other than China, as there are some issues in China like the power shortage and all, which is also generating advantage for neighboring countries like India. Globally, the cotton prices have also increased. So Indian companies are also getting better price for their products. So for the next 4 to 8 quarters, the industry is expected to do well, but you should be keenly watching this industry as the trends keep changing very frequently in this industry. The next question is from Mr. Naga Vishnu Darshan, who is from Salem. He says that the stock is in ESM. Is it safe to invest? So for long-term investors, even if the stock is in ESM, there's no problem in accumulating, as this is a temporary phenomenon, and once the stock comes out of it, then the stock will freely move as per the demand and supply in the market. Whenever the stock is in ESM, most of the times the traders avoid trading in the stock, but for investors, there's nothing to worry. As long as the fundamentals of the companies are intact, there's no problem for you to stay invested or to enter the company even if it is in the ESM list. So this is about KPR Mill. I hope you like the analysis. To summarize, the management of the company is quite experienced in the industry in which they are working. They are one of the market leaders in the industry they operate. They have great expertise in manufacturing their products. They have developed good relations with their customers over the 4 decades. Geographically, the company has an advantage. Consistently, the company has been growing, although they are not growing at a very rapid pace in terms of their revenue. They are doing continuous capex and expanding their capacities and upgrading their technologies. They have also now focused on the retail side of their business, and they have launched their own brand, which is Foso. Fundamentally, the company's fundamentals are good. The promoters holding is nearly 75%, which gives us a lot of confidence in the company. But one thing you have to keep in mind is the tailwinds and the expansion of margins which the industry is experiencing. This may not be permanent, and you have to keenly watch the industry advantage, and whenever the industry is coming into a downturn or a slowdown, you should consider reducing your positions and book some profits in such kind of stocks. In terms of valuations, as of now, the stock is expensive and you should wait for the right opportunity to get into the stock. So this is about KPR Mill. I hope you like the analysis, and in case you like the analysis, hit the like button and comment your favorite company's name in the comments so that I can choose those companies and make the next upcoming videos. So thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.